Think about the greatest threats to the American economy. You're probably picturing a boardroom in Beijing, a trade war in Europe, or oil tycoons in the Middle East calling the shots. But you'd be dead wrong. The most dangerous financial choke point on the planet isn't across the Pacific. It's right in our own backyard. I want you to look at a narrow strip of asphalt, the Ambassador Bridge, connecting Detroit, Michigan to Windsor, Ontario. It looks like just another piece of aging infrastructure, but in reality, it is the jugular vein of the U.S. economy. Right now, $360 million worth of goods crosses this single bridge every single day. But here's the kicker. This vital artery is dangerously close to going south, and if it snaps, the American economy doesn't just hit a speed bump, it crashes into a brick wall. This is the story of how a single bridge is holding the United States hostage and why no one in Washington is talking about it. To understand how we ended up in this mess, you have to understand the Rust Belt. For decades, the U.S. auto industry has treated the U.S. Canada border like an imaginary line. A single car part, let's say a transmission, might cross the Ambassador Bridge 6 or 7 times before the car is even finished. It's an incredibly tight, just-in-time supply chain. The bridge is the ultimate cash cow for both nations. But when you put all your eggs in one basket, you're just asking for a sucker punch. Over 25% of all merchandise trade between the United States and Canada rolls over these 4 lanes. We are talking about auto parts, agriculture, medical supplies. If traffic on this bridge pumps the brakes for even 48 hours, U.S. automakers start bleeding money. Factories shut down. Blue-collar folks on Main Street are told to clock out and go home, left holding the bag while politicians point fingers. We saw a glimpse of this during recent border blockades. Detroit lost upwards of $50 million a day. A day. And that was just a dress rehearsal.
But here is the craziest part of this entire story. For nearly a century, this critical piece of international infrastructure wasn't owned by the government. It was owned by a private family. Imagine that, a billionaire family controlling a quarter of all trade between 2 sovereign nations. They had a literal monopoly on the border, and they fought like hell, using armies of lawyers and millions in political donations to crush any competition. While Washington slept, a private empire held the keys to the U.S. economy, milking toll revenues while the bridge itself slowly rusted away. And don't fool yourself into thinking this only hurts the fat cats in Detroit. This trickles down to your wallet faster than you can blink. When trucks back up in Windsor, the price of fresh produce spikes in Chicago. That new Ford F-150 you've been saving up for, it sits half-finished on a factory floor, driving up dealership markups across the entire country. It's a domino effect. One stalled lane on the Ambassador Bridge translates to a surge of inflation that hits middle-class Americans right in the teeth. We are hyper-focused on inflation caused by the Federal Reserve, but we completely ignore the inflation parked in neutral on a 2-mile stretch of concrete. Here is where it gets really dark, geopolitically. The U.S. likes to think it holds all the cards in North America, but when it comes to the Ambassador Bridge, Washington is caught in a massive catch-22. Because this isn't just about trucks moving metal, it's about leverage. Canada knows that America is completely addicted to its resources. From aluminum to the critical minerals needed for the EV revolution, Uncle Sam is hooked, and the Canadian government, they have serious skin in the game. Whenever Washington tries to play hardball, touring tariffs on Canadian lumber or threatening auto imports, Ottawa doesn't need to fire a shot. They just look at the bridge. They know that a few layers of bureaucratic red tape, a couple of random customs inspections, and the U.S. supply chain gets choked out. It's the ultimate silent weapon. Now, you might be screaming at your screen, why don't we just build another bridge? Well, they are trying. It's called the Gordie Howe International Bridge, but it has been bogged down by decades of lawsuits, political mudslinging, and billionaire monopolies fighting tooth and nail to keep their profits. It is a multi-billion-dollar Band-Aid that is years behind schedule. Until that new concrete is poured and trucks are rolling, the U.S. economy is walking a tightrope without a net. Every time there's a union strike, a political spat, or a glitch in the customs system, American businesses hold their breath. We spend trillions building stealth bombers and aircraft carriers to protect our interests overseas. But the most glaring weakness in the American armor is sitting right in plain sight, suspended over the Detroit River. The $360 million a day Chokepoint isn't just a bridge, it is a ticking clock. The only question is, who's going to pull the plug first? If you want to know what the mainstream media is too afraid to dig into, hit that subscribe button. This is the Oval Briefing. Stay sharp.